from this season? Any memorable moments and wins from you? What do you think you'll take away from 2019?
Definitely the most memorable moment was winning the SWAC championship because we worked so hard day in and day out. And it was just fun to go out there and finally win it after 9 years, I believe. Yeah, 10 years. So that was the most memorable moment.
Go ahead and keep it in the back.
Javian, what made this team unique? What made this team really click, in your opinion, this year?
To be honest, I think it was our chemistry. Last year, I mean, we had little cliques, but this year it was like a brotherhood. Everybody talked to everybody, so I mean, it worked off the field and it only made it better on the field. So I think it was our team chemistry and our coaching.
And as a senior, do you feel like this is the sort of winning foundation that, or you all have set a new winning foundation for the Southern baseball program moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that we set up a winning foundation. I mean, the guys that was beneath us, it's going to trickle down to them. They are great athletes just like we are, so hopefully we got the ball rolling in the right direction.
Get it to the gentleman here in the front.
Ashanti, I was wondering what you thought of Miami, and did they have any comments? Did they congratulate you on your season or any chatter during the game, and what do you think of their team?
I think they're a real aggressive team. They swing the bat well and they throw strikes. That's what you need to do to win games.
Any other questions for the student athletes before we let them go? All right, thank you, fellas. Congratulations on a great season. We'll go ahead and take questions for Coach. We'll go ahead and start here with Robbie to Coach's right.
Coach, you mentioned that turnaround a couple of times, mentioned earlier in the week, and now, of course. What was the difference you saw in this team from last year to this point that was so drastic that allowed you to make that big of a turnaround?
I think we started to grow as baseball players. I've told our kids all year that we are athletes playing baseball. We hadn't yet graduated to being baseball players, and so I think as the year progressed, we slowly started to morph into baseball players that are above average athletes. I think if you take our kids and you match them up ability-wise with anybody in the country, I think we're going to match up. And just being able to coach them up and get them to understand how the game is played and how they can take their attributes and apply those to the game. As we started to go through the season, that started to get better and better and better. But we still have our moments where we were athletes playing baseball. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then we were able to do some things in the bullpen that allowed us to be successful. When we got a lead, we felt pretty comfortable.
Go ahead and head to the back.
Coach, how much do you think yesterday's game took? I don't want to say took in, they used a lot of energy in that game, staying competitive with Mississippi State. Do you think that was a factor, obviously, in the slow start?
Possibly, but I think what it was we had a guy going on the bump today that he's gone out and shoved for us the last 2 times out. And so when he came out there and it wasn't as good as it had been, I think that became the first chink in the armor, if you will, because we were relying on him to go out and get after it for us, and he just didn't have a good day. Wasn't bad. He was throwing strikes, but it was just up in the zone, and they took advantage. And then we started missing a little bit in the zone, and they had those 2 big innings. I mean, it's anytime you give up crooked numbers, it's always going to be tough to come back from those, and we gave up 2 big crooked number innings.
In these 2 games, just Javian was out tremendous for y'all. Can you speak to his individual performance?
I think, like you said, that's a process. He's one of those guys that I'm talking about, right? When I got here last year, the swing wasn't very good. The baseball IQ wasn't very high. He started last year, I think the first half of the season, he was hitting 150 with a 310 on base percentage, and we made some adjustments, and he decided to buy in, and he finished last year 260 and 3 or 420, I think, on base percentage. And then this year, he just took off for us and was able to buy into the things we were asking him to do, able to make those adjustments. So hopefully he gets a chance, and he should get a chance to play on after this. And I think this is not the last you're going to hear from him. If he gets in the right organization where they believe in player development, you may see that guy on TV someday.
Continuing just to build this program, going into your 3rd year next season, what do you see as critically important in this offseason and where you guys can improve most?
I think as we move forward and now, like you said, moving into year 3, really establishing that development foundation and getting the right guys in here that fit our system, and going out and recruiting, again, still recruiting athletes, because I think that's what's going to allow us to be successful, and then putting that concrete plan in place that will allow them to morph into being baseball players earlier in their careers. And some of the kids that we're going after now, we're going to be able to bring those kids in that do have a higher baseball IQ with athleticism. So this won't be the last time we'll be in a regional, I promise you that.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go to the gentleman in the hat in the back.
Coach, over the years, Southern has a lot of great tradition in baseball under Coach Roger Cador. How has it been with you making the adjustment, especially going into your second year, having success and everything? And on top of that, what do you think the position you put Southern in now, do you think is a great future for Southern baseball?
You know what? I've always thought it was a great future for Southern baseball, or else I wouldn't have come. I didn't look at the job for what it was at the time. I looked at the job for what I thought it can be and what I know it will be. So the things that we've done in the past, specifically when you go back to the 90s and early 2000s, where they're very, very dominant, I believe that we can get back to those times again. And now with the landscape of college baseball, I believe that we can take it to a whole nother level. So the idea of us being able to build ourselves to be a program that, in my opinion, I want us to be talked about on a regular basis when it comes to the national landscape of baseball. I want people to look at us and say, that's not just a good team, a good HBCU team, or that's not just the best team in the SWAC. People are going to look at us and say, that's one of the better programs in the country.
Coach, just the makeup of this team, how would you describe these guys? A few words to describe what made this unit, this group so special.
I think there's tenacity there. I think they get after it. They have a never say die attitude. There was a lot of growth during the year, personal, obviously, and on the baseball side of things. But I think being able to help them transition into adulthood and understand some of the accountabilities and responsibilities that are required, not only to be a Division I athlete, but to be a man in our society. I think that's where we were able to make some of our changes with these guys and get them to understand those things and how important they are in the grand scheme of life, and then be able to take those same lessons and apply them to the game that allowed us to go out and do what we did on the field this year.
Anything else for Coach before we get the Hurricanes in here? All right, thank you, Coach. Congratulations on a great season.